The Battlefield community is charged right now, guys, as it always is on the way to a new launch. Map sizes, movement tech, realism versus authenticity, cosmetics, gunplay, you name it, it's probably been in some sort of heated debate on your social media platform of choice. Movement is easily the topic that has taken the spotlight over the past week or so, especially with the latest build of the game showcasing some of the upcoming movement nerfs in action, but I'm not actually here to talk about that today. It's been done to death, we're all tired of it, and truth be told, I probably can't offer much more value to the conversation beyond what's already been said. No, what I want to focus on today is what has been a downstream, maybe even inadvertent revival of an age-old Battlefield debate that has emerged as a result of the movement chat. It's a debate that I actually find spawns one of the most gatekeeping mentalities from some very loud members of this community, which is something that I hope is actually a vocal minority when I see the response to this video, but time will tell. This is the debate around PTFOing, and more specifically, how PTFOing is or should be done in Battlefield. It sounds strange, but hear me out. For those who aren't familiar with the acronym, PTFO stands for play the fucking objective. Yeah, I know. I do wonder if an Australian coined it given its very blunt delivery, but despite its vulgarity, it's a core principle that drives Battlefield's gameplay and is even now used directly in promotional material. And this makes sense. Most, if not all, of Battlefield's flagship modes are entirely driven by the presence of an objective on the map to work with, on top of shooting the absolute snot out of each other. So of course, playing the objective to secure a win is a simple enough prospect when it comes to Battlefield and how it is played. Where things get interesting to me, though, is how much gatekeeping I see within the Battlefield community about what good PTFOing looks like. And further to that, when you see people completely disregard someone as not playing the objective for what just seems like some really insane reasoning from time to time, almost like mental gymnastics. And as a means to anchor this whole discussion today around something as an example, we're going to focus on this one post that I saw on Twitter that was a part of a massive quote tweet train, but it basically states that KD doesn't matter and that they'd rather a player that gets objectives than a 57-2 KD player who does nothing. Now, I acknowledge that this is Twitter, and arguments/debates that take place on that website tend to have the nuance and the precision of a rolling pin. I've also blurred out the handle and the name because ultimately I don't want to pick on this person in particular, and this isn't an attack on them, but the traction that the tweet got and the thinking behind it really got me thinking and signaled that this conversation needed to happen. The reason I focus on this particular take is that I actually think that this is a gross oversimplification of the Battlefield sandbox and how all playstyles ultimately contribute to the end goal of winning a game. It almost creates a false pretense that playing the objective in Battlefield means that you literally need to sit on an objective and watch the timer go down to 0 until you can move on to the next one, and that you almost don't need to kill anybody to achieve that. It also insinuates that kills overall hold no material impact on the way the game turns out or how objectives are impacted. And the amount of traction that this tweet got tells me that this is not isolated. A large portion of the community stands by this statement, which is where I'm going to step in here and say that, guys, this take and the precedent this sets is damaging to the Battlefield experience. Everything, and I do mean everything, matters in a Battlefield game when it comes to securing a win and ultimately PTFOing. And I'm sorry, but that includes kills and how a player can potentially swing the tide of a fight by securing kills. Let's take the hypothetical bloke who is sitting at a 57-2 KD that was used in the example tweet and throw him into a number of hypothetical scenarios in a game of Battlefield and consider the material impact he is having on the game in the context of the objective. Scenario number 1. Our hypothetical player is absolutely giga-farming in and around a capture point. Basically, clears the enemy team out or has a major part in doing so, and clears the way for his team to jump on and start securing the objective. Now, instead of sitting on the objective, this player moves up slightly to deny the enemy an ability to get back onto said objective and keeps farming kills. Now, because he isn't sitting on the point and has taken an advanced position to limit the enemy moving forward, does that mean he's no longer PTFOing because he's no longer sitting on the capture point, making the timer go down? Of course it doesn't. He's playing the objective just in a different way. He's moved forward to deny the enemy a presence on the objective while his team captures. He's still playing the objective even if it means he won't have a capture on his scoreboard. Interesting. Okay, scenario number 2. Our hypothetical player is an absolute weapon of mass destruction in an attack helicopter and has been sending vehicles straight to the respawn screen for the majority of the game. Now sure, this player isn't going to be scoring captures on the scoreboard, which may create the perception that they aren't playing the objective. But what they are doing is securing map control for their team by denying the enemy team both mobility and firepower through a lack of vehicle availability. Ergo, they're PTFOing by having an impact on the outcome of the objective gameplay by denying the enemy team a presence there too. Once again, interesting. Scenario 3. Let's take a position which is a slightly longer bow to draw, but for argument's sake we'll do it anyway. Let's say you have the classic long-range sniper player sitting up on a hill somewhere, taking the odd pot shot at players from stupid distances. Now in this hypothetical, if this player is sitting on a 57 and a 2, he's a pretty crack shot. But I'll admit, of all the examples given, this is the player who is the least likely to have a material impact on the objectives in a Battlefield game. But say he's, I don't know, providing Overwatch on a flag that your team owns and scores a kill on said backline flag to deny an enemy a capture. That's still playing the objective. The scoreboard isn't going to reflect that, but it is, because he has denied the enemy team a capture that means the rest of the team can stay on the offensive elsewhere. In all of the scenarios that we've drawn out here, Mr. 57 and 2 is having a varying degree of material impact on the outcome of how the objectives are playing out in the match. Even if they aren't physically sitting on the capture point, they're still having an impact. Playing the objective does not mean that you are tied exclusively to the little box that is drawn out on the map that represents the objective itself. It can also mean playing around it, between them, or completely separate from them if it means denying the enemy an ability to react to the plays of your team and what they're doing. We also have to remember as well that the objectives are points of interest on a Battlefield map. So if somebody has a KD like 57 and 2, they're likely not sitting off somewhere where there aren't any objectives at all, because the objectives are where the action is going to be concentrated in a Battlefield game. So if they have a high KD, if they have a lot of kills, they're likely playing around where the action is located and are having a material impact there too. It's not like they're off having a TDM match off in the fringes of the map. Now to flip the coin a bit here, I'm gonna go on the offensive in a way that might make a few of you a bit angry at first, but hear me out, because ultimately I'm gonna bring it back in a way that I think you're gonna like to hear. Ultimately, you can't capture objectives where enemies are present, and you certainly can't do it from the respawn screen while you're dead. So yes, if we take the comparison between the guy who is sitting at a 2 and 57 KD score line versus a guy that's sitting at a 57 and 2 KD score line, one player has statistically, factually spent more time staring at the respawn screen and less time on the ground making an impact on the outcome of the game itself. However, before someone starts to rage in the comments down below, the guy who is 2 and 57 is also likely to be instrumental to the outcome of the game in other ways. This might be through, having a very high objective score because they are on the ground at the right place at the right time, securing the objectives that the spearheads on the team have cleared out as they move on and continue clearing the next objective or denying the counterattack. Or Mr. 2 and 57, they might be the best damn medic, engineer, or spotter that keeps the intel and support coming through for the team, which also then informs how Mr. 57 and 2 can achieve their role. It's not to say that Mr. 2 and 57 KD had no impact at all, it's quite the opposite in fact, but the original tweet that sparks this whole discussion misses the entire point of what makes Battlefield such a unique, special, and interesting beast of a game, and it's why it's loved by so many as well. No one role can single-handedly win a match of Battlefield. The two are symbiotic with each other. Mr. 57 and 2 KD will score a ton of kills, but will never independently have the ability to control the map because there's only so much they can do at one point. And quite frankly, they're more interested in getting kills. And on the other side of the coin, Mr. 2 and 57 KD will know where everyone is, will keep friendlies alive, and well, ensure the cap goes through, but will never score the kills required to punch through an enemy position and take the objective on their own. They just spend too much time being dead. When you find a team that holds that perfect mix of players that fill all of the roles as required above, you end up with a well-oiled machine that feels like a gem to be a part of. And further to that, if you get two teams in one match that have this special mix, then you are about to experience one of the most incredible experiences that one can have in first-person shooter gaming. It all matters. And I think that we as a community need to really get back to appreciating all of the elements of Battlefield that lead to PTFOing in some way, whether it be directly or indirectly. Even if we don't enjoy such elements of the game ourselves, a lot of the playstyles that are available in Battlefield lean on one another to ultimately win the match. And yes, that does involve the people who are giga farming kills and leading the scoreline from a kill-death ratio perspective, because they're the ones that are punching through and giving the room for the rest of the team to act. And to pretend that that's not the case here is a damaging narrative to set for this game and its community. Now look, I get it guys. Battlefield is likely to reach a much larger audience this time around given the nature of the market right now, which means you're going to see, as many have dubbed them, tourists coming to this game. And this in turn sparks a very important end to the video here. Our shoulders as a community right now are raised. For the first time in a long time, we are getting a Battlefield game that has the bones of being a really good Battlefield game. So of course, when people who come to the franchise may have slightly different priorities or takes or interests, yeah, we're going to get a bit territorial. We're going to get a bit defensive. And it's actually part of the reason why I think we see so much divisiveness in the online discourse around Battlefield at the moment, because we don't want to get 95% of the way there only to fall over in the final hurdle. So in a way, I get the response that we're seeing here, but at the same time, alienating entirely valid playstyles in the game, which are integral to winning Battlefield games, just because they don't fit in with this somewhat crazy definition of what PTFOing is or isn't when the game is literally built around being a sandbox, it's just silly, it's unproductive, and it does nothing to really celebrate what Battlefield is actually about. But this is turning into quite the ramble now, so I'm going to leave it here before this turns into a 20-minute plus long video. Anyway, very happy to continue talking about this in the comment section down below or on my live stream, which is twitch.tv/kamikaze78. We also do the odd multi-stream here on YouTube as well, so I might catch you guys live here too. Be sure to get subscribed if you enjoyed the content, leave a like on the video if you enjoyed the discussion, and as always guys, I'll see you all in the next one. Peace guys, have a good one, take care.